In this video, we will delve into the enigmatic case of JonBenét Ramsey, a tragedy that has captured public attention for over 25 years. On December 26, 1996, the 6-year-old was reported missing, but just hours later, her body was found in the basement of her own home. As we explore the details of this heart-wrenching story, you will discover the multiple theories surrounding her death, the role of her parents, and the unsettling clues they left behind. Who was truly involved in this crime? Why did the investigations become so complicated? By the end of this video, you will not only know the most shocking facts of the case, but also reflect on the mysteries that still endure. Prepare to immerse yourself in one of the most intriguing crime stories in American history. The case of JonBenét Ramsey became one of the most unsettling mysteries in the history of the United States. The tragedy unfolded on a day that should have been festive, the day after Christmas in 1996, when the Ramsey family was preparing to enjoy the warmth and joy of the season. However, happiness turned into despair when JonBenét, a 6-year-old girl with big dreams and a bright talent, was reported missing. This unexpected turn transformed the Christmas celebration into an endless nightmare. The anguish of her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, was palpable. In their search for their daughter, they felt trapped in a web of confusion and fear. The question on everyone's mind was, what had really happened on that fateful night? As the world watched closely, the family found themselves at the center of a media storm that further complicated the situation. The pressure on them grew, and every statement they made was scrutinized minutely by the media and public opinion. As minutes turned into hours, the hope of finding JonBenét alive began to fade. The police, after receiving an alarming call, mobilized quickly. However, what they found in the basement of the house was a devastating blow for everyone. The discovery of JonBenét's body, hidden and lifeless, was a moment that sealed the fate of the little girl and left the nation in shock. The basement, a place that should have been safe, became the scene of a crime that no one could comprehend. The subsequent autopsy revealed disturbing details that changed the narrative of the case. It was not simply a kidnapping. There were signs of trauma and strangulation, raising critical questions about the nature of the crime. Why had such horror been inflicted upon a little girl, with her life ahead of her? This shift in understanding led police to explore the possibility that the perpetrator might be closer than they had initially thought. Theories began to emerge. Could it have been someone from the family? A stranger? Uncertainty gripped the investigation. The Ramsey family, amidst their pain and confusion, became central figures in a drama unfolding before the eyes of the public. The pressure and scrutiny they faced were devastating. Many wondered if they had something to hide, while others united with them in their sorrow. The narrative became complex, and public perception was divided. In this context, countless questions arose regarding guilt and innocence, forcing society to confront the harsh reality that such a heinous act could occur within a home. As we delve into this case, it is crucial to remember that behind every detail lies a human story. JonBenét's life and her family's suffering serve as reminders of the dangers faced by the most vulnerable in our society. The search for answers is not only an attempt at justice, but also a call for all of us to reflect on how we can protect children and ensure their safety. In this sense, the JonBenét Ramsey case is not just a tale of tragedy, but a challenge for all of us. What are we willing to do to prevent something like this from happening again? The discovery of JonBenét Ramsey's body was a moment that shook all of America. On that December 26, 1996, the news of the disappearance of such a charismatic and vibrant girl gave way to a tragic outcome that left everyone in shock. The finding occurred in the basement of her own home, a place that should have been a safe haven. The police responded immediately, but what they found at that crime scene was more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. When the body was discovered, it was wrapped in a blanket, and there was evidence of brutal strangulation. At first glance, it did not appear to be a typical kidnapping. The autopsy revealed that JonBenét had suffered multiple traumas, further complicating the narrative. How could something so horrific happen in a place where the family should have felt safe? As we analyze this tragic reality, we delve into the implications of these findings and the anguish they caused in the community. The first hours were crucial. The crime scene was contaminated by the arrival of family members, friends, and even the police, who unknowingly altered potential evidence. This initial chaos created significant obstacles for the investigation. Imagine being part of a puzzle where the pieces are scattered everywhere, and every move you make can further complicate the complete picture. The frustration of the investigators was palpable as they watched time, rather than being an ally, turn into an enemy. Nonetheless, despite the difficulties, the desire to uncover the truth remained strong. With every new detail that emerged, the perspective on the case grew darker. The autopsy results indicated that JonBenét had been the victim of a premeditated attack, leading the police to consider the possibility that someone close to her may have been involved. This generated uncertainty and fear among those who knew the family. What kind of person could harm such an innocent child? The answer to this question became increasingly crucial for the investigation. Meanwhile, media coverage of the case began to intensify. JonBenét's story captured public attention, transforming into a phenomenon that not only shocked the residents of Boulder, Colorado, but the entire nation. Speculations soared, and conspiracy theories began to circulate, diverting focus from the concrete facts. The pressure on the police increased, and with every new rumor, the truth seemed further away. However, amid the media storm and the challenges of the investigation, one lesson resonates strongly: the importance of a meticulous and professional approach to crime solving. The pursuit of justice is not just an investigative journey, but also an emotional process for the family, who struggles to find answers amid their pain. As we explore more about this case, we realize that every detail matters, and every clue could be the key to solving a mystery. JonBenét's legacy is not only a warning about the dangers facing children, but a reminder of the fragility of life. Her story becomes a call to action to protect those who need it most. As the search for justice continues, we must remember that every life has immense value, and that truth, although sometimes painful, is essential for healing. The tragedy of JonBenét invites us to reflect on how we can contribute to a safer and more just world. The autopsy of JonBenét Ramsey revealed disturbing details that transformed the narrative of the case. It was not merely a case of abduction. There was evidence of trauma and strangulation. This discovery not only impacted the family and the community, but also raised critical questions about the initial investigation. How could this have happened in a home that was supposed to be safe? As we delve deeper into the findings of the autopsy, we begin to understand the complexity of the case and the implications of what happened that fateful night. The autopsy report not only detailed JonBenét's physical injuries, but also hinted at the anguish and terror she may have experienced. Although she was a young child, signs of struggle were evident. There were marks of strangulation on her neck and trauma to her head, suggesting that there had been a struggle. This turn of events led investigators to reconsider the possibility of an abduction, opening the door to a series of theories that would only complicate the quest for the truth. JonBenét's death left many questioning. Who could commit such an act? It might seem that an outsider had entered her home, but the details of the crime scene told a different story. The complexity of the situation intensified as the statements of the parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, were examined under a microscope. The pressure on them grew rapidly, and their behaviors were scrutinized. The family became the focus of public attention, and the narrative surrounding their innocence or guilt became increasingly muddled. As the investigation progressed, theories emerged that ranged from an intruder to the possibility that someone within the family was involved. The initial evidence, which included a handwritten ransom note, began to raise more questions. Was it really a ransom note, or had it been a distraction? The combination of a lack of concrete evidence and media pressure created an environment ripe for speculation. Each new clue seemed more intriguing than the last, but also more perplexing. Despite the police's attempts to clarify the case, the truth remained elusive. The anguish of a shattered family and the confusion of the details led many to wonder if justice would ever be served. The story of JonBenét serves as a chilling reminder of what can happen when family life intersects with tragedy. This is a crucial moment in the narrative as the audience begins to perceive not only the complexity of the case, but also the deep sadness it brings. As we reflect on the autopsy and its implications, it is important to consider not only the facts, but also the emotional impact on those close to JonBenét. The tragedy of her death resonated across the country, and the search for truth became a symbol of hope and despair. JonBenét's story is not merely a tale of a crime, it is an invitation to question the safety of our homes and to reflect on the protection of the most vulnerable among us. In the end, JonBenét's memory challenges us to act, to seek justice, and to create a safer world for all children. From the outset, JonBenét Ramsey's parents, John and Patsy, became central figures in this tragic case. Their lives changed overnight, going from a happy family celebrating Christmas to becoming the epicenter of one of the most perplexing crimes in the United States. Understanding the details of that fateful night will help us grasp the complexity of their situation and the impact it had on the investigation. The first question that arises is, what did the Ramseys really know about what happened that night? The story begins with a strange kidnapping notice found in the house. The content of that note, which demanded a ransom of $118,000, was one of the elements that initially led the police to believe JonBenét had been abducted. However, as the investigations progressed, things didn't seem so straightforward. Pressure began to mount on the parents as their statements came under scrutiny. These were moments of anguish and pain, but also of confusion and suspicion. At this point, it's essential to highlight how public perception can distort reality. People began to wonder if the Ramseys were victims or accomplices. The fact that the police found no evidence of an intruder in the house made many start to doubt the family's innocence. Meanwhile, the Ramseys tried to cope with the loss of their daughter, and the media pressure only complicated their situation further. They found themselves in an emotional labyrinth, where every word they spoke was examined closely. A key moment in this narrative is when Patsy Ramsey, visibly distressed, appeared before the television cameras. Her expression of pain and desperation resonated with many, but, ironically, it also fueled theories that she might be hiding something. The internal struggle of a mother who lost her child contrasted with the image the public was beginning to form of her. The complexity of her emotions is palpable. It feels as though she were trapped in a game with constantly changing rules. As the story unfolded, the focus shifted to the couple's relationship and how their dynamics might have influenced the tragedy. John and Patsy were seen as a team, but also as two individuals coping with loss in different ways. The narrative of their family life became a topic of discussion, and speculations about their behavior only intensified the pressure on them. The question many were asking was, could they truly be guilty of something so heinous? As time went on, the lack of concrete evidence and ongoing speculation led to a series of theories that proved to be as varied as they were intriguing. From unknown intruders to the possibility that someone within the family was involved, the theories multiplied. However, looking at the Ramsey story, it is evident that they were caught in a cycle of pain and confusion, struggling to find answers while the public's attention focused on them as potential suspects. The Ramsey situation illustrates the harsh reality of being a victim in the public eye. The complexity of their statements and the constant pressure of the investigation created an environment where every move was monitored. As we explore the story of this family, it's important to remember that behind every theory and suspicion are real people who suffered a devastating loss. The story of JonBenét Ramsey remains a somber reminder that the truth often lies in the shadows of tragedy. The JonBenét Ramsey case not only captured media attention, but also gave rise to a series of theories and suspects that have kept the public intrigued for over 2 decades. The complexity of the case can be likened to a mystery novel, where every clue seems to lead to a dead end, generating more questions than answers. The story begins with a tragic scenario: a 6-year-old girl missing, and the pressure to solve the case falls on the authorities, the family, and the community. As we delve into the investigation, names and theories emerge, complicating the puzzle even further. From a possible intruder who managed to enter the Ramsey home to the disturbing idea that someone close to the family might have been involved, this last point sparks great curiosity and suspense. Could someone trusted have caused all this? The media began to speculate, and each new development became explosive headlines. The narrative turned into a game of accusations, with every character, from the parents to friends and neighbors, becoming a potential culprit. One of the most intriguing theories suggests that JonBenét may have been a victim of a stranger who entered her home. However, as the clues were examined, attention quickly shifted to the family. The Ramseys, initially seen as victims, began to be viewed with suspicion. The media highlighted inconsistencies in their statements, leading many to question, what did the parents really know? The pressure intensified, and the narrative shifted from tragedy to potential familial guilt. Over time, other suspects emerged, such as a former police officer reported in the area at the time of the disappearance, and individuals with histories of similar crimes. Each of these characters brought with them a new theory, expanding the spectrum of possible culprits and creating a maze of speculation. The impact of this situation not only affects the Ramsey family, but also the community at large, which feels besieged by the lack of answers and the uncertainty surrounding the case. Along the way, it's crucial to remember that the theories surrounding this case are not mere conjectures. They reflect the desperation for justice. Each story and suspect adds a piece to the puzzle, but at the same time, they unveil the fragility of the truth. The excitement here lies in the search for answers, in the constant struggle of those seeking justice against a system that often seems more interested in headlines than in truth. Ultimately, when analyzing the theories and suspects in the JonBenét Ramsey case, we face the reality of a judicial system that does not always provide answers. The story serves not only as a reminder of the fragility of life, but also as a call to action for society to engage in the protection of the most vulnerable. The endless pursuit of truth in this case leaves us hoping that one day justice will prevail, and this tragic chapter can be closed. As we reflect on everything we've explored, we ask ourselves, what can we learn from this tragic episode? And how can we contribute to preventing similar situations in the future? The JonBenét Ramsey case quickly became a media phenomenon, capturing the attention of the entire country and the world. From the moment her disappearance was reported, the media rushed to cover every detail of the case. What began as a family tragedy transformed into a media circus, where speculation and sensationalism dominated the narratives. The intense coverage not only affected public perception, but also influenced the investigation itself, diverting attention from crucial clues and generating an atmosphere of confusion. Amidst this media storm, JonBenét's parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, found themselves in the eye of the hurricane. As reports multiplied, the pressure on them grew. They became central figures in a story that, to a large extent, had already been written by the media. The coverage of cameras and incessant rumors turned their experience of grief into a public spectacle. This raises an important question. To what extent can media coverage interfere with the pursuit of justice? As the media spread theories and speculations, often without solid evidence, narratives began to emerge that not only blamed the family, but also blurred the line between truth and fiction. For example, theories linking the Ramsey family to the crime went viral, fueled by sensationalist articles that distorted the facts. The Ramsey family, already grappling with the loss of their daughter, had to face public accusations depicting them as suspects. This was a clear example of how a criminal case can be manipulated by the press, creating a narrative that can be more harmful than helpful. Moreover, the JonBenét case exposes a troubling phenomenon: the role of the press in sensationalizing tragedies. The media often prioritizes drama over truth, seeking to capture the public's attention at any cost. Instead of reporting objectively, coverage frequently focuses on the macabre and shocking aspects. This not only affects the public's perception of the case, but can also influence how investigations are conducted. When detectives feel pressured by public opinion and media coverage, they may be tempted to make decisions based on external pressure rather than evidence. However, not all is lost. Despite the adversity, the Ramsey family managed to raise awareness about child safety and the importance of responsible media coverage. Their story became a call to action for the media to reconsider how they cover tragedies and the impact they can have on the lives of those involved. The coverage of the JonBenét case has become a case study in journalistic ethics and the responsibility that comes with reporting on the life and death of a child. In conclusion, JonBenét Ramsey's legacy is a powerful lesson about the impact of the media on justice. It reminds us that behind every sensational story, there are real lives suffering. As we reflect on this case, we face the responsibility of demanding more ethical and compassionate coverage that prioritizes truth over sensationalism. The quest for justice for JonBenét continues, and her story serves as a reminder that every life has immeasurable value. The case of JonBenét Ramsey has left an indelible mark on American society, and the search for justice for her tragic death remains a relevant topic today. Despite the years that have passed, the Ramsey family still endures the pain of loss and the frustration of not having definitive answers. This case has highlighted the importance of justice and raised difficult questions about how criminal investigations are handled. As we reflect on JonBenét's legacy, it is crucial to understand what lessons can be learned from this tragedy. JonBenét's story is more than just a murder case. It serves as a reminder of the vulnerability of childhood and the need for an effective justice system. After her death, many families felt inspired to advocate for changes in child safety and protection. The lingering question is, how can we ensure that tragedies like JonBenét's do not happen again? This challenge requires collective action and commitment from everyone. For instance, many organizations have emerged since then, focusing on education about child safety and supporting families affected by violence. These initiatives are an important step toward creating a safer environment for our children. Over the years, the JonBenét case has generated constant media interest, leading to a double-edged effect. On one hand, media attention has kept JonBenét's memory alive, reminding society of the need to address violence against children. On the other hand, it has also complicated the work of investigators, as speculation and sensationalism can divert attention from real leads. In this context, It is vital for the media to act responsibly, reporting accurately, and avoiding contributing to the family's anguish. The quest for justice for JonBenét has been a journey filled with obstacles. Despite numerous theories and suspects that have emerged, the case remains unsolved, leaving the Ramsey family in a constant struggle for the truth. This situation underscores the importance of perseverance in the pursuit of justice. This is a reminder that, although the path may be difficult and filled with frustrations, every step counts in the process of healing and finding clarity. The Ramsey family has demonstrated remarkable resilience, facing pain and adversity with dignity, which can serve as an inspiration for others facing similar situations. JonBenét's legacy also invites reflection on how we can protect children in our communities. The stories of other families who have suffered similar losses remind us that child violence is a reality we must address. Educating about child safety, creating safe spaces, and supporting families in crisis are steps we can all take. JonBenét's story should not merely serve as a reminder of what has been lost, but also as a call to action to create a safer future. As we conclude this reflection, it is crucial to remember that the pursuit of justice does not end with a verdict in a courtroom. It is an ongoing process that requires everyone's commitment to ensure that every child has the opportunity to grow up in a safe and loving environment. The memory of JonBenét Ramsey should inspire us to act, to get involved in our communities, and to be the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. JonBenét's story is an invitation to be part of the change, to not allow her legacy to fade into oblivion. The story of JonBenét Ramsey is not only a tragic case that left a profound mark on American society, but it also raises critical questions about child safety, the role of the media, and the quest for justice. As we explore JonBenét's legacy, it is essential to recognize that her life and tragic death became a call to action for all of us. Child safety is a concern that affects all families. Since JonBenét's case, we have seen an increase in awareness about the importance of protecting our children. Organizations and communities have mobilized to implement prevention programs that educate parents on how to identify and address risky situations. For example, many schools now offer workshops on personal safety and how to talk to children about stranger danger. This education is fundamental to empower young people and help them understand that they should always trust their instincts and speak to an adult if they feel unsafe. As we reflect on JonBenét's life, we must also consider the role of the media in covering her case. From the beginning, JonBenét's story was treated as a media spectacle, generating both support and scrutiny toward her family. The excessive coverage not only influenced public perception, but also diverted attention from the investigations. This phenomenon reminds us of the responsibility the media has to report accurately and sensitively, especially when it comes to human tragedies. In the wake of these events, initiatives have emerged to promote more ethical journalism, focusing on truthfulness and empathy. JonBenét's story teaches us that the way stories are told can have a lasting impact on the lives of those involved. Moreover, JonBenét's case has inspired many to engage in causes that support families affected by violence. Numerous nonprofit organizations are dedicated to helping families cope with the pain of loss and advocating for policy changes that protect children. These organizations work tirelessly to provide emotional support and resources to those facing similar tragedies. The transformation of tragedy into action is a powerful legacy that demonstrates that while we cannot change the past, we can create a safer future. In the end, JonBenét Ramsey's story calls us to be proactive in protecting our children. It is not just about remembering her life, but about taking concrete steps to ensure that no other family has to endure similar pain. By joining these causes and raising awareness about child safety, we honor her memory and work towards a world where all children can grow up without fear. JonBenét's life serves as a constant reminder of the struggles many families face and the need to change the narrative surrounding child safety and justice. By sharing her story and committing to action, we can be part of a movement that not only seeks answers, but also aspires to a world where every child is protected and valued. This is a call to action. Are you ready to join this cause and make a difference?